Every time. Every time I go camping, I run out of water before the camping even gets started. I wish someone made something that I could set something here.
Did you say set something? Well, you need the TeraFlex's rear gate table. It's great for setting stuff.
But how do I put it on?
Watch this video to find out. This is a 2014 Jeep JK?
JK.
JK, it's not a Jeep, it's a Fiat. And this is the TeraFlex's rear gate table. Comes in this nice box. Nice box, doesn't matter. It comes with 2 pieces of paper that tell you what to do. Now, you should probably read them, but you're here watching a YouTube video instead. There are 3 areas of concern that you want to be aware of. Now, placement is pretty well dictated by the big old piece of paper we just cut out. Now you want to align that piece of paper right under this line. On each side of your mounts, there's a set of holes that you can arrange for the various years' tailgates. Now on this 2014, you're going to want to move the pre-installed Nutsert from this lower mount to the higher mount on the passenger side, if the door was closed, my left passenger side, so that it clears these vents and you install about here and here, but you want to keep it as far out as possible on the driver's side, just to spread that weight out. Now, on this nice drill set, there's a couple of lines you want to cut out. Why that is not simply just the border of the printed page, who knows? Now, it's easier with 2 people, but you can do it with 1. Just have the bottom of your paper cut out, as per the instructions, and tape it up on both sides, making sure to keep it even in between the taping areas. If you're happy with how you've lined it up, now we're moving on to our center punches. Before center punching, which isn't super permanent, but you don't want to be dinging up your Jeep for nothing. So before we do that, I recommend you close the door, preferably not with your head where my head is. Make sure everything fits nice and good. You know, Jeeps are different. Not every Jeep's the same. You might have modified yours with some other stuff. That will get in the way, and you don't want to find that out after installing this all the way with the Nutserts. So just make sure you clearance everything. Center punch. Now, struggling to match the instructions here, in diagram 10, they show it aligned on this thicker, heavier part, which if you just tap on it, you can definitely tell. This is a much thinner sheet metal, and this is at least a couple layers of the thinner sheet metal. So drilling through this is a bit harder than that. But you could argue, and I think that's what we're arguing, this will be a much stronger place to mount it. You know, less chance of it just ripping out of the sheet metal, since there's already a couple points where the vent down on the left side and a couple of these pinch welds have already started to crack away. So this will be more work, but stronger, because in number 9 here, they show it mounted over on this thinner metal. So that's up to you. We recommend thick. Now that we've got our bolt holes lined up, you want to drill some pilot holes using WD-40 and a steady hand before we move up to that 25/64 bit. Didn't have one on hand, had to run down to Ace Hardware. We got ours, we got our drill oil, WD-40, and we got cranking on these holes. But you want to be real careful, because the backing behind that thin sheet metal is fiberglass. You're going to punch through that real easy if you don't pay attention.
That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome to the tool bench of knowledge. Let's talk about Nutserts. Now, there are Nutsert install tools that are pretty much a large crimp. Now, some people don't actually like using those. Pretty easy to over crimp and cause a split in this metal, and when you're tightening it down, the metal will just rip, because the design of a Nutsert, the serrated metal will collapse as this metal gets closer while you tighten down this Allen bolt. And doing it by hand, you can get pretty confident and comfortable with what feels like a collapsed, properly seated Nutsert. Also, I recommend putting a little bit of gasket seal right on the serrated metal, so that way when it closes up, it's really not going to start spinning around, because the second biggest problem, other than breaking the Nutsert on installation, is when you go to remove it later on and it just spins and spins and spins. So, a little bit of that gasket maker right there, it's going to be perfect, and it'll most likely not be a problem down the line. So let's go install it on the Jeep and get this thing done. Now we have our Nutsert. We've got our holes drilled out to the proper 25/64. Now once your Nutsert is properly lubed up, or not lubed, the opposite of lubed, gripped up with some silicone gasket maker, you want to install it on your Allen wrench crush set. Now with that riv nut in the right place, you want to install the Allen bolt all the way in. You're going to use a wrench to hold the spacer in its correct position. The spacer should not be spinning, only the bolt inside. And once you feel that wall collapse all the way, you're going to want to back that bolt back out, and your riv nut will pretty much be ready for installation. Now with your riv nuts all 4 installed properly, it is time to bolt up your table. Here, is this the same Allen wrench as earlier?
Probably not.
Probably that would have been too easy. Hey TeraFlex, use the same Allen wrench sizes next time. Thanks.
You're like, shit, I know what I'm doing.
Now you're going to want to install everything loosely, so leave a good 1/4 inch before you tighten all of them down. So you're going to want to get it just in there enough to hold on, get the rest of them started, and then cinch it down slowly, or else you might tear a riv nut.
Oh, these are just, oh, okay.
Flat. What do they call them? Recessed.
Yeah.
Now,
No washers? No.
with everything installed, not everything. With the mounting hardware installed, we are installing the cutting board that comes with it. Now you can choose to buy it with or without the cutting board. On some other companies, these cutting boards are an attached slide out mechanism under. This cutting board just takes up space on top. It doesn't add any extra space. So that's one thing to consider when you're going for TeraFlex versus going with, some of those higher end bamboo ones that, have sliding out little mechanisms that add you more area to work with. Getting a little bit of interference on the old Quadratec mat. We're gonna cut the Quadratec mat. You just want to do this corner?
Yeah, let's just do like right to here and see.
Problem solved. Well, it's installed and we're mostly impressed. I think 9 out of 10. Caleb, what'd you give it?
Well, I think since I've been here, with SomeGuy's Instagram page, SomeGuy's YouTube channel, I'd rate this build about 8.5 out of 10. We had to run to the hardware store once. Messed up a few times, but it wasn't enough to ruin it. So, good experience, good company, good time.
An 8.5 out of 10. If you know how to do averages, there's a number in between those two numbers, and that's what it equals. All in all, even without the latches, it holds really well. It doesn't rattle. Seems to be pretty high quality. The metal, the brackets, everything seems high quality except this cutting board. These brackets line up really well. They have a really satisfying, and you can actually feel it, close in, clamp, so it's not going to rattle. Now, we haven't tried it out for long term, just finished installing it, but it doesn't seem like it's going to rattle. And it's a Jeep, so we don't need any more rattles on this mother thing. Now, my biggest complaint, $280 versus $250, $30 difference is this little HDPE cutting board and 4 screws, $30. Go to the dollar store, buy one of these cutting boards, go to your Ace Hardware, buy 4 bolts, it'll be maybe $5, and just put one on, if you really care that much. $30? That's crazy. They shipped with, and this is important to us car people, extra and nice stickers. It also came with the install material for actually putting the riv nuts in, which is just a bolt and a washer, but still, some people might not send you that, so it is nice to get it. This, thank you very much. Super helpful. We would have definitely screwed up all the mounts. Instructions, pretty good. Until next time, follow along on SomeGuy's Insta page. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know of any questions, install, and I will keep you apprised of how well this thing holds in the comments or in the description. So a couple months from now, if it starts to break down, I will let you guys know. And keep up the support, or whatever people consider this. Goodbye.